Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some people were speaking about how the temple was adorned with costly stones and votive offerings. Jesus said, "All that you see here, the days will come when there will not be left a stone upon another stone that will not be thrown down." Then they asked him, "Teacher, when will this happen? And what sign will there be when all these things are about to happen?" He answered, "See that you not be deceived. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time has come. Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for such things must happen first. But it will not immediately be the end." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be powerful earthquakes, famines, and plagues from place to place, and awesome sights and mighty signs will come from the sky." The Gospel of the Lord. What Jesus is telling his disciples in the gospel is that the temple would be destroyed. And for them, that was about as unbelievable as the Twin Towers being destroyed. Unimaginable. Such a thing, how could that happen? And yet there it is. Things like that create decision points. It's amazing how many people began going to Mass again immediately after 9/11. People who I knew from New York said the churches were full, and they'd never seen so many people at daily Mass. But after a while, it all dissipated. There was an opportunity for a decision point. It was made, but maybe lightheartedly. It was a time for commitment. But it was not a commitment that had follow-through. Indeed, who would have thought that a microscopic virus could turn the whole world upside down? Again, here we are at a decision point. Our conscience is being picked and tweaked, and the burning question is coming. And so choices are being opened to us. Whether or not we will stick to our faith and get serious about our faith and pray ourselves through this and beg for God's grace and mercy. It's interesting, personally, what I have seen in the confessional, for example, that the COVID virus has inspired many people to come back to their faith, even though they've had a hard time getting to Mass because of the virus. I've heard in the last few months more confessions from people who've been away from the church than I have in the last 5 years. Decision points are occurring, and people are turning to Christ, but many are not. Many are actually turning the other way. And where we see that is legislation that's becoming increasingly hostile to anyone who's a Christian. Upholding Bible principles is being seen more and more as criminal activity. It's getting frightening, but here it is. It's time for us to make some decisions. Will we follow Christ? Andrew Dung Lak and 17 of his companions were martyred in Vietnam. In total, in the course of about 200 years, 130,000 Christians were martyred. John Paul II canonized Andrew Dung Lak and his companions, all of them saints. All of them died because they would not make a choice other than Jesus Christ. I hope we're not going to become that serious here. Or I hope we won't have to become that serious here, but perhaps we may become that serious. And so we need to pray. St. John reminds us in the book of Revelation that the sickles are being wielded, and there's a harvest. There's a harvest of people who have turned to the Lord, righteous people, but there's also a harvest of people who refuse to believe, and they're crushed in a wine press. He's being descriptive, not to frighten people, but to reveal a reality that to live outside of Christ may seem good here on earth for a time, but for eternity it will be excruciating. It's not a threat, it's a reality that we will choose at this decision point. A lot of talk has come out in the last few years about what some people call an illumination of conscience. I think that's happening. And I don't see it as a singular event. I see it as people catching on to the graces that are being poured out that makes us turn to Christ. And for some, the illumination of conscience turns them to a hatred toward God. This is frightening. We need to be a people of prayer. We need to be a people of the Eucharist. We need to be a people who also praise the Rosary. The statue of the Blessed Mother at that altar, it reveals a beautiful and regal lady, magnificent. She doesn't appear so much as the very gentle-looking Mary, although that's in her face. However, the way she is, the spear she holds or the scepter she holds, it's weaponized against the devil. And she is revealed in the book of Revelation as the one who will drive away and crush the serpent with her heel, a mere heel on his head. And so she becomes a great advocate and help for us, one that we should not take lightly. And so I encourage you to pray the Rosary, because she will draw you closer to Christ. This would be a great time to make a 30-day consecration. There's plenty of information about that on the internet and on Catholic websites. Oh, how this church is so beautifully adorned. And yet, we live in a time right now where this beauty could be sullied. And so we come to Christ and we're faithful to Him. And with the prayers and intercessions of the martyrs at our back, the saints at our side, Christ before us, Christ behind us, Christ at my right, Christ at my left, we press on to more deeply and fully embrace Jesus Christ. There is no other way to the beatitude that waits for us.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.